You're probably thinking I'm going to say something crazy here with the Pelicans, right? Like trade Zion or I don't know, sign Dame Lillard and pair him with CJ McCollum. But no, I'm going to say the first thing the New Orleans Pelicans should start to focus on next season is develop their younger players. They've actually got a reasonable collection of young talent, and a couple of them actually starting, a couple of them are rotational players. Dyson Daniels probably needs a few more minutes, and they got to really consider that if Zion can become the franchise cornerstone that they envision him to be, and they're getting him like 6-year contract or something like that, and they're invested in him heavily, he's gonna need players to build or around him, to put beside him. And they're gonna have to find it from the players that hopefully they already have. And can these guys take the next step? Can these guys take the next step? Obviously, continue to show improvement in efficiency, continue to sort of bump out the numbers a little bit, a few more minutes, a bit more responsibilities. Um, that's the first thing that I think the Pelicans need to do. The second thing that the Pelicans need to do is, well, obviously, is get Zion back. But when Zion comes back, play him on minutes restriction. And I was thinking this as I sort of was writing my notes. I was like, what would this look like? And maybe the first thought in mind was like, Kawhi. Kawhi is a guy that in the last few years, and obviously he's sort of much older, it's a sort of whole different mindset there, but he was been on minutes restrictions left, right, and center. And I think if Zion came back this year, even if he was sort of declared 100% healthy by the medical team, okay, and he's like, no minute restrictions, you just play him on a minutes restriction. Yeah, you go, look, this guy for at least 1 year, all right, we're going to try and keep him to, I don't know, 20 minutes a game. It sounds so small. Yeah, crazy, right? For a franchise cornerstone, you've poured all your millions into. All right, but you just keep him on 20 minutes a game, hope that he doesn't get an injury in 20 minutes a game, but you get the production out of him from that 20 minutes a game, okay? And hopefully have him healthy by the end of the season. And there's probably you could argue this either way, I guess, but there's probably enough talent here with Zion healthy for say 70 games at 20 minutes a game that they're looking at a play-in or maybe even a lower playoff seed. They should have showed that somewhat already at the start of this year. But then Zion went out, and then various injuries as well to other core players. Then it all bottomed out. So look, I think that's the second dot point that I had here for the Pelicans. And obviously we got a pitcher trade here, right? That always a bit of fun. And so here's the crazy part. Let's trade Brandon Ingram for Kyrie Irving. Let's bring Kyrie Irving to the Pelicans because it actually might fit. Just think about this though. Kyrie, CJ, Zion, and the younger prospects they have. I don't know. It's intriguing. I don't know. You're gonna now tell me why that's terrible, right?
Okay. Anything with Kyrie Irving is interesting, but interesting
Yeah.
can be positive and negative, and it's usually negative when it comes to him. So that's fine. Um, I think if justice and karma exist in the world, I got crucified for a Jalen Suggs trade, and you should be crucified for that one because him and CJ McCollum paired up together makes no sense. And Ingram is a unique talent, and a lot of people say, like a baby Durant sort of thing. Um, don't know why you trade that for like, but that's okay. Let's bring it full circle here.
Irving
New
and
Orleans.
McCollum together don't make sense. I want you to break that
Just
down a bit more, please, please.
what would you like? What would you like from two short guards who can't play defense anymore? What would you like to break down
Did
beyond
not did
that
not
very
did not
simple?
Lillard and McCollum take the Portland Trailblazers to the conference finals?
Yeah, it was about 4 or 5 years ago now, potentially a very asterisk run because I think there's a bit of unpacking that could be done. When Golden State was the legitimate dynasty with Kevin Durant and they were the powerhouse, a lot of teams just opted out of being competitive. And Portland may have been a beneficiary of getting to the conference finals because other teams weren't willing to be competitive. So that's my take on that. This video is going to be chopped up in a lot of different facets, but let me get back to the New Orleans Pelicans. I would say they're I would say they're a victim of the play-in tournament. I would say that they have been successful in the play-in tournament and have had low seedings and felt like they've been in the mix. And the reality is they haven't done anything. They've had glimpses, they've had encouraging things, but you look at their most successful playoff run recently, and that was against the Phoenix Suns when They were able to get 2 games off them, and there was all this like intrigue about, wow, the Pelicans up next. And then the Suns went on to really lose in embarrassing fashion to Dallas. So sometimes there's a bit of a false sense of security and success because maybe the other team really let you get that level of success. And we could do a whole series unpacking that. And we're going to see that in this playoffs, right? You know, we're going to see other teams kind of benefiting of, you know, a lack of performance from one team. But that's not what we're here to discuss. We're here to discuss New Orleans Pelicans. The New Orleans Pelicans are stuck in $200 million in Zion Williamson, and he is already on a Kawhi trajectory in which we can't play him for long. We have to load manage him. And we just saw in the playoffs that load management through the playoffs and then having them play that really intense 40 minutes. Kawhi's now been injured in consecutive playoff series, right? He has the meniscus tear in this one, and he has the ACL tear in the other one. We worry about him now. And Zion's already added injuries. And one thing we know medically is that once you get one injury, you keep accruing new injuries because the area is now compromised. Once you lose 100% health in an area, you can no longer get that back. And it becomes easier and easier to re injure. So I feel like if I was to be really dramatic here, I would be calling every team in the league and say, what is your offer for Zion Williamson? What is your trade package that you can put together? And I don't care if it's 10 draft picks. I don't care if it's 3 really good role players. I think you take all of those offers really seriously because they need to do something. They need to do something because otherwise, what
You
we're
know,
going to be doing, we're going to talk about, no, what's going to happen is we're going to talk about New Orleans for the next 5 years and we're going to say, if Zion could just be healthy, or what we need to do is we need to put his minutes restrictions to 15 a game and we need to do this. We are going to strategize around this player for the next 5 years while he's under contract. And we're all hoping for the Joel Embiid turnaround. But Joel Embiid was a real anomaly, right? And we all still fear the same things with Joel Embiid at the start of his career as we do now. And we're also noticing that even if you highly invest in a player of all that potential, it doesn't yield anything other than a second round exit. And for New Orleans, I think they're just signing up for something like that. I get it. There's a lot of talent there. But we talked about the draft that Zion came in, and RJ Barrett was clearly the pick that we should have went with. So that's my first one. The second, the second is Herb Jones is clearly out for extension, and he has everything that you want, either on your team or as a trade asset. He is a 3-and-D player, but he's very young. He has impressive stats when it comes to blocks and steals. Everything you want in a young guy because you can't train effort on defense, and he's got that. And then I've already mentioned this in a previous video, but you know, I feel like what you're doing is you're pivoting. You're doing what you suggested, which is investing in your young talent and hoping that Ingram and McCollum can stay sort of healthy. And you trade Valanciunas for Saric and OG Dian. And that's where I'm going with the Pelicans. I know you're going to say I'm mad to give up on Zion, but I
No,
just feel like
I'm
we're
gonna
signing
say
up for a roller coaster.
I'm gonna say you're beyond mad that you think that Zion on the block right now would get anything more than 50 cents to the dollar. No one's gonna give you a haul right now for Zion. That's the unfortunate reality. Okay, any team that would seriously even consider Zion is going, I'll take him at a discount because of what his record, his history, injury history is. And then the Pelicans now are really in a worse off state. So I will agree they're sort of in a caught between a rock and a
Kyrie for
hard
Zion?
place.
Kyrie for Zion, maybe?
Kyrie for Zion. I don't even know if the salaries match, but I don't think the trade machine
He's sign and trade. You can match
uh,
them up. You can match
look.
them up.
I
Kyrie wants 30 million or something.
I don't know. You were just sort of blasting me for Brandon Ingram for Kyrie and how terrible that fit is, and now you're going to suggest that Zion should get shipped out of town for Kyrie. So look, I'm just saying that Zion at the moment, putting him on the trade block makes no sense. You have obviously clearly invested in him, and he is a prospect that is probably worth that investment and the risk that's associated with that. I think it was laughable that you're suggesting that if you did over the draft that you take RJ Barrett over Zion. I don't see that. I don't see that. Maybe that's not a whole other hot take you can make one day, man. But right now I still think you take Zion over RJ Barrett. RJ Barrett has been a consistent producer and a good pick in all respects too. Okay, for the Knicks, but I don't think you would have been taken should have been taken any other way. So look, I think you're right that the Pelicans are in a territory where their future is really tied to the health of their chosen franchise player. But you know what? That's how it goes with literally 30 other, organizations. and that's how the league works. And I guess, it's can we get Zion healthy? Would love to see him healthy, but we'll have to see what happens, isn't it?
Well, I think there's a sunken cost fallacy that I think a lot of teams fall into, is that you don't get generational talent like that, so you've got to overinvest and you've got to stay invested in it. I just think when you look at the contract situation here in 2028, is the narrative around Zion Williamson going to be drastically different in terms of incredibly talented? Imagine if he stayed healthy. Like, will that narrative actually change over the next 5 years? Statistically speaking, how likely do you think that that's going to change?
Will he be Odin or will he be Embiid? Yeah, is that what you're saying?
It's one or the other, right?
Who knows?
This is Two Guys with Spare Time. I'm Faz, this is Nick. You're probably a basketball fan like us, so hopefully you can throw us an assist and giving our video a like and subscribing to our channel.
And if you got thoughts, feelings, or even some suggestions, please put them down in the comment section below. And thank you for using your spare time to watch us in our spare time.